Hello there, and welcome to episode 200 of the FlameFlash.net podcast. With us this time is Mordikai here in the chair and Swordagent over on Discord with us.
Hello again, everyone.
And it's 200. It's 4th of July weekend. The Big Bad Beautiful Bill passed. I hope everyone is having a good weekend. But let's focus on the positives. We've ranted and raved about the Big Bad Beautiful Bill previous episodes, previous times. For episode 200, and why Sword Agent is here, is because I posed the question of what are some of your favorite gaming memories? Since this is partially a gaming podcast, what are some of everyone's favorite gaming memories or favorite game memories? You can interpret the question either way. So, Sword, do you want to give it a start off, or do you want a couple of the write-ins to go first?
Let's go back and forth. Oh, I'll start off with Foxdragon's
Okay,
favorite, and then we'll jump to you, and then Mordikai, and then we can jump back to me, however we want to do it.
sounds good.
All right, so for Foxdragon, the memory she gave me was a "Don't Starve Together" incident. If you, I don't know if that rings a bell for you right away or not.
It might.
Yeah, so it was probably one of our best runs. For those who don't know, Don't Starve Together is almost a roguelike survival game. It's pretty brutal, so you have to survive as many days as you can. And then obviously you start over once everybody dies. And so it was one of our best runs ever. There are years in the game, there are seasons in the game. It's particularly hard to make it through winter in this game. Particularly difficult to build up a base with any actual structure or systems as well. If you do, then you can keep it maintained, but it's hard to get there in the first place. So, when winter of year 2 came around in that playthrough, I believe, we had some hay bales set up for walls on our base. Foxdragon's character, well, she's got a built-in lighter, and the lighter and the hay bales had a pretty drastic encounter with each other.
I remembered. And
Yeah,
Mordecai's face knew exactly what was coming when you mentioned the lighter and the hay bales. So, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we so basically our base was one big giant square, but we had but think of a maze. So we had an inner, like kind of like an inner square, outer square, outer square. The most inner square was made of hay bales. The next layer of the base was made of wood. And I think the very outer layer of the base was made of stone.
Oh,
So
wow.
basically the first two layers of the base going from in to out were very flammable. And so it being winter, all that wood and hay bale burning, it kept us warm for a little bit, but it also burned down all our machines and production and farms and food storage. And so therefore once everything was gone, we pretty much all scattered frantically and either froze to death, dying to the elements one at a time, or died to beasts and monsters along the way.
Wow.
Yeah, she's not sure
Second
if it's
year
her.
in.
Yeah, she's not sure if it's her favorite memory, but it's definitely one of her most memorable gaming moments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Jay Jetberndt, sent in one. Uh, he was
Okay.
he was playing Call of Duty Ghosts with his dad. They do a death match where they were on a team with a few bots, and then the other team was all bots. Good bonding moment, he's saying. But he always laughed when he would get, because his dad would get mad at the same thing every time. The clean version was, what the crap? Why is every freaking time I shoot them in the head, nothing happens, but I take one bullet to the head and I am dead? So, just a running gag for the both of them, it seems like, where the bots wouldn't die on the opposite team, but he kept dying to the bots.
Sounds like Josh was carrying him a little bit.
Possibly, but
Well,
definitely
I
would
do
be a
know
fun
that.
memory.
Yeah, that's a very fun memory. I know he was just saying that he wanted to get back into Call of Duty soon here too, just the other day, I think. So
Makes sense.
I'll have to ask him about that next time I see him.
Mordecai, what about you?
I have two of my most favorite. Um, First one is throwing my siblings off cliffs in Mario.
Okay.
I know your siblings are going to have that as their favorites, but go on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then my second would probably be when um Sword helped me make my first World of Warcraft character.
Very cool.
Is
Because
that
you,
character's name?
I don't remember.
You don't remember
I don't remember his name.
your favorite memory, and you don't remember the character's name?
He was a Worgen rogue.
because at the time he was pretty obsessed with Worgen
And rogues.
and rogues.
Yeah, still kind of is, I think.
Kinda.
Kind of. Did you happen to hear from Karma at all on the question, or did you pose the question to Karma?
I forgot to ask.
Okay. Well, Sword, what about what one of your favorite gaming moments, gaming memories then?
Well, an honorable mention has to go out to any victory that you get in OG Overwatch, and then you also get play of the game, like on any just play of the game that you're on the screen. That's
Absolutely.
always a great moment. So honorable mention to that. I mean, if we won a game and I was Reinhardt or Junkrat and I got that play of the game, that was always amazing. Um, but I would also have to probably go with a World of Warcraft memory. Um, how well do you remember my first raid?
I started nodding when you said World of Warcraft because I knew exactly where you were going. The Warlords,
Yeah,
right?
yep, Warlords of Draenor. It was my very first raid. I was probably 14 or 15, probably somewhere around there. And so I went in as Wolfcrawler, who's a Worgen druid. I queued as DPS, I believe, so I was just running around in cat form. Probably mostly just mashing buttons. I'm not sure if I had an actual rotation or not at the time, but how well do you remember it from there? Because I believe you were with me.
Oh yeah, because I was a healer in that raid because it was a looking for raid, and people were dropping.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the tanks was the first to go, too.
Yep.
So, being a druid, I got real flexible real fast. I decided to take a big risk. I didn't really think about it. I just switched to bear form, kind of ran in, taunted the boss, and there he was. The boss was after me now. And keep in mind, while I was running in and doing this, we did lose a couple more people, I do believe. We lost probably 3 or 4 people in the raid.
Oh
One
yeah,
of them.
we were losing people left and right when that tank went down because there was nobody holding aggro then. It was like a two boss fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like two giants or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we were focusing one over the other. I think the raid was fairly split, so both their health bars were about at half, if I remember right. So we still had to deal with both of them. I think, unless you remember it differently.
The other one, because there were more people on him, went down first, and then the whole raid turned and started going after the one that you had taken.
Okay.
And I was in
But
the background with whatever other healer was there, healing the crap out of you. And there you were, first time tanking in a raid, let alone a dungeon. First time tanking, period, pretty much, right?
yeah, pretty much. And it was my first raid ever, too. I hadn't run the raid before. I hadn't run any raid before. I barely even did dungeons. I was mostly a PvP guy.
Right. And so there he is. Wolfcrawler the bear, or the cat suddenly turned bear, holding aggro, holding this boss at bay, and we didn't
We,
wipe.
we saved the raid.
Exactly.
Between you healing me and me going bear, we saved that run. So,
So I remember you sitting in the corner of the office here and just, we were frantically talking back and forth too because you had no idea what was going on. So I was like, all right, next use Thrash, next use Mangle, next use. Because you'd barely had a bar even ready, like a hot bar.
but yeah, yeah, because I didn't play bear, but you had. So I mostly did go with cat form.
Yeah,
I was playing on my own, so
yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, but yeah, that was just an epic moment. First raid, it's hard to forget.
Yes.
So I've definitely got more memories, but we can circle back to me depending on how long we go for. So
Perfect. Like your little sister, Thunderer, chimed in on wanting to answer. She ranked some of her favorite games. So Sims 4, Roblox, Minecraft, Among Us, and A Kings and Queens. Her first memory comes out of Sims 4 is making a Sims family and house with her mom, and of her mom teaching her how to play. So that's pretty cool that they had that bonding memory. Her first
yep.
memory of Minecraft, for example, is playing and on the TV in the living room, and she kept crying because she was dying from zombies. And I'm pretty sure that's when I started playing with them on Minecraft and figured out how to do Minecraft multiplayer was to dive in and help save her from
The zombies.
from those zombies. Yeah.
Minecraft is a great game, but I've had my fill for a little while again. So her favorite memory is dying to zombies, or that you came to save her from the zombies.
I think just playing Minecraft and being exposed to the zombies. It seems like from what she wrote down. But then
Okay.
the pivotal one being her and her mom working together in Sims 4. So
Yeah. I still haven't moved on to Sims 4. I like Sims 3, but
so Mordecai, do you have any further memories, gaming memories from back in the day?
um,
or recently.
Or recently? Yep.
yeah. Um, honestly,
Like
it might be when I made Bloodborne.
World of Warcraft again. Okay. We're not a World of Warcraft gaming family at all.
um, again, Worgen Rogue.
Oh, look, a theme continues. Okay.
Um, he is my first PvP focused character, and it took me a while to get his item level up, but it was worth it. And now I just go on killing sprees.
Cool. Very cool. You are that rogue then. Just
Yeah.
yeah, behind the scenes. The jerk
Everybody
rogue.
hates you.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Especially healers.
Yeah.
Healers despise you. The bane of healers everywhere.
I
How about you, Flood Flash?
All right. Well, can you hand me that little keyboard thingy over there? Yeah.
this ancient.
Yes,
Oh,
because I am
yeah.
of the Oregon
He's
Trail
going back to the
generation.
old days. Okay.
I am of the Oregon Trail generation. Thank you very much. I am wielding for the camera the Commodore 64 Mini. Um, because in the summers, my parents would drive in an RV. We'd drive an RV down to the family farm, his parents' farm, and the RV then would act as a another meeting point because if the whole family was together on the farm, the house was just too small. Just it was way too small. Grandpa had the smokehouse where he was literally banished to smoke in because Grandma couldn't stand the smell of smoke. Thank you. And then the kids, when it was say hot or the bugs were starting to come out in the evening, we would gather in the RV because we would have brought the Commodore 64 and we would gather around and either play Mule on the Commodore 64, which is an economics game,
Yep,
or
we've played the board game a couple times together, I think.
yep, and we played the board game. I specifically went after the board game because of those memories, and I actually have the regular NES cartridge of Mule as well because collector and nostalgia.
Old man.
Thank you. I was born in the 1900s. But the cousins would gather and we would play Mule or we would play Summer Games, which is like a Olympics, and we just play because we'd have that old joystick, with one or two buttons on it, frantically rotating the stick to keep up with, say, bicycling. So you'd rapidly rotate the stick, kind of like in the
The
N64
old
Mario
Mario Party.
parties, except it wasn't murdering your hand because the stick was bigger, so you're firmly gripping the whole shaft of the joystick. And there we were, gathered around. Younger cousins would start getting jealous or maybe complainy, but there was a group of older cousins where I was one of the younger ones of that, but because it was, my family's Commodore 64, I got a pass. Haha.
Nice.
Never heard somebody praise the Commodore 64 quite that much, I don't think.
it if it wasn't for the Commodore 64 and, Atari, even though Atari later, completely screwed the pooch, flooded the market, and rolled over and played dead, it laid that original groundwork for gaming. That
Yeah, it did.
if Nintendo hadn't stepped in after the gaming crash and rescued everything, we wouldn't be where we are today with gaming. But it was thanks to the Commodore 64 and the early Atari era that we even had real gaming, other than, say, Pong or other really simple things.
Good old Pong.
Exactly.
I do think that's widely accepted as the first video game. I think there's some exceptions you can make if you want to, but on a widespread scale, I think Pong is considered the first one.
Precisely. Now, more modern era of gaming, like this is why you guys were introduced to gaming after all, was due to being a gamer just all through my life. One of my other favorite gaming memories is when you, Sword Agent, as a small one, beat the octopus or squid or whatever it was in Super Mario Sunshine for the first time by yourself. Do you even
I
have
know you.
memory of that?
No, but I know that you've got it on tape, and I've seen it play out.
Yeah,
Or maybe not the very first time, but you recorded it one of the next times I replayed it. So
exactly. Does
I mean, I definitely have memories of Sunshine being like one of the first games I truly played. But that goes for basically any GameCube game we owned.
right.
But I do not specifically remember me beating that squid for the first time.
And then Mordikai, for example, were you the one that got nervous in Ultimate Spider-Man, or was that your brother?
That was my brother.
That was still you, Sword Agent. Okay, with the Ultimate Spider-Man and getting nervous in the Venom pieces.
Yep, another another GameCube memory too.
Another GameCube memory.
I want to point out that I wasn't scared at all during the Venom part, and I actually quite enjoyed Venom eating
You
people.
barely played that game and you were born in a later era.
Though I do remember him running amok. He wasn't progressing at all, but he would just run around eating people as Venom. So
Yeah.
I do remember that pretty firmly.
Yeah, he didn't do any of the work to unlock Venom, but whatever.
If
I'm actually pretty sure I accidentally deleted your save file, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did at one point.
Yep. So any other
Yeah.
circling back around then? How about another gaming memory then, boy?
Any?
Let's see. Well, basically anything. Let's just give another honorable mention to the GameCube then, since we've already been talking about it so much. From Star Fox Assault and the multiplayer on that, I know
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. To Ultimate Spider-Man, to Teen Titans, Super Mario. I've got two more in mind for myself, just right off the top of my head. Well, I've got more than that, but I'll just mention two more here.
All right.
Basically, anytime we've got a full Mario Kart 8 Deluxe lobby, like with the whole 501st, we've basically got the full 12 people in there. We're all shouting at each other, screaming, cheering. Some of us are swearing. Some of us are getting mad. Some of us are having a great time. A full lobby is always a great gaming session.
Yep.
Um, and then the other one is probably a Terraria memory.
Oh.
And an old friend and I were dealing with some experiments that we probably shouldn't have been doing. We were literally siphoning all of the lava out of hell. We built a pipe. We built a giant tank floating in the sky above all our bases. We had a long time, long running server going, and we built a giant tank in the sky. And then we built a pipe system down to hell in the game. And then we turned it on, and it started filtering all of the lava out of hell. Well, our tank wasn't big enough for all of the lava in hell.
Yep.
And it started overflowing.
I remember the drama of that one so well. Yeah.
Yeah, because my little sister's base was the one directly under the tank, I do believe.
Yep, exactly.
Hmm.
So hers was the first to be flooded.
And by the time that we even turned it off or started breaking down the system, there was already so much lava coming through. We just couldn't stop it.
Nope. You guys flooded the overworld with lava.
Yep. And honey. We also had a giant tank of honey in the sky.
Oh
And
yeah, because
by
then
the
somebody's just fed up and's like, heck with it, and you blew up the honey tank, didn't you?
yep, because it's like, yeah,
Yep.
that definitely comes to mind.
The screeches from your sister, I think I can still hear to this day.
I don't, I don't know if she's ever agreed to play that game again.
I don't think she has played Terraria, and if she has, it hasn't been with you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep, I remember that one very clearly.
Yeah.
Any others coming to
So,
mind, Mordecai?
Um, Probably the first time I played Fortnite.
Oh, cool. Did we get like battle royale victory or just
It was really fun to just game with everyone, and even though I was basically a burden,
cool?
sometimes I still am, but I'm better.
you are better. You're better than than Jetberndt.
Well,
So,
Indeed.
I have.
few.
Oh, yep. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Nope, you first.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of great gaming memories from the NES era, so I'm not going to go into all of those because there's too many to name, and I'm old, and we're already approaching half hour.
Oh wow.
But I'm going to push that up, and a favorite gaming memory of somewhat more recent days would be about a year ago, a little under a year ago. The 501st had gathered for playing Stardew Valley, something that we did regularly or tried to do regularly, but it's a scheduling boss. It's always the scheduling boss. But we
Yep.
managed to all coordinate on that evening in mid to late August. And you know where I'm going with this sword agent already.
Yeah, I know.
And we're playing through the day, and suddenly you drop off of the Skype call mysteriously. And it's like, okay, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Well, should we finish out the day? Should we stop? What should we do? Let's go ahead and finish out the day. We're trying to get back in touch with you. And I can't remember who on the Skype call said, oh, excuse me. Um, I bet Foxdragon is in labor.
That was me.
That was you. And then everybody's like, oh, crap. Yeah. So the last time this like second to last time we successfully played Stardew Valley was as a big group was the night your son, my grandson, your nephew was born. So
And we haven't played Stardew since then.
no, we did
Yeah.
one. We did one other time since then.
Yeah. Well, let's give credit where credit's due, too. Before, like, right as we started playing, Jetberndt decided to go and say, wouldn't it be funny if, since we just finally got another playthrough, then 10 minutes in,
She goes into
Foxdragon
labor.
went into
Yep.
labor,
He
and then
cursed
guess
it.
what happened maybe 15 minutes later?
Oh, he cursed it, definitely. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's his fault why we haven't played Swordagent.
So you said you had another gaming memory on the top of your head?
Yeah, so this isn't actually a video game memory, and it's a recent one.
Excellent.
It's a D&D game memory.
There we go. All right.
And I really like the story behind the "Get Bricked" slogan that we now have.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Keep going.
Yeah. So the our party was basically running a stage performance. We're basically on a college campus, more or less, and we were running a stage performance in some celebration, and everybody got their chance to get up on the stage and just kind of win the crowd over, get them cheering for them. When all of a sudden an owl bear starts emerging in the crowd. I'll let you take it from there, Flame.
All right. Well, at some point, everybody had received cardboard cutout bricks earlier in the show. So when this owl bear shows up, I believe you suggested, how about we all start throwing the bricks at the owl bear?
Yeah, because it was a deal where it was like a stuffed owl bear or something, right? And so it started manifesting into a real one, something like that.
Exactly.
And so all of the arcana energy started turning the foam or cardboard cutout bricks into real bricks, correct?
Right.
And well, my character already had a thing about bricks. He carries around this brick. It's basically his lucky charm, Excalibur. That it's what that is to my character. And so I suggested to the crowd that we all start throwing our bricks at the owl bear. And I think it was a nat 20 that I rolled for whatever I rolled for, whether it was charisma or
I think it was
whatever.
a performance and then an arcana, and you just double rolled two nat 20s in a row.
Yep. And so we avoided a boss fight because the entire student body just bricked an owlbear to death.
Get bricked.
Get bricked.
Indeed.
I will not forget that character or that moment.
All hail Key Dog.
Key Dog, jingle jingle.
Any other favorite gaming moments, Mordikai?
Probably I can't remember which campaign this was. This is also D&D, by the way.
Okay.
Probably when me and Sword's characters were wrestling underneath that wagon because he would not stop going for that wheel.
Yeah. That was in
Yeah.
Witchlight. While behind Witchlight Beyond.
Yep. Yep, it was. And I play as a kleptomaniac, if that's the right term. I like owning everything, but I steal it to own it. So
Yep.
I actually walked away with a pretty sweet weapon from that. So
And also I'm a fighter. He fought back, but it didn't do any damage, if you remember.
Yep. And now he has this enchanted wagon wheel that he's put like barbs around for flinging it out at enemies. You haven't had a chance to use it yet, But
But it's a thorn like D6 regenerating piercing weapon because the wood on the cart repairs and regenerates itself.
yep.
And it was I didn't even have that well planned out of an intention with this wheel when I went to steal it, but it worked out really well.
Well, and that's the beauty of tabletop gaming because unlike the digital world, only our imaginations will hold us back. And sometimes the dice.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's mostly a Snow Princess problem, though.
Yeah. 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 She still can't hit
Yeah.
the broadside of a barn with that bow and arrow of hers. Let's
I would
see.
would shout out to WoW Classic too. I've gotten a lot of. I know that I've successfully dragged you guys into WoW Classic one time, and we got because that last attempt we did at getting into WoW Classic, we did really good. Got to the Dead Mines, and then well, the baby came around and life just happened, so we weren't able to continue that as much as we wanted either. It's the same reason we haven't been on Stardew, but
Yep.
I was there launch day of WoW Classic, the very first time they launched it, and I just the seeing the crowd that was there was mind blowing to me.
And I think a Facebook memory just recently popped up where you got to see the Stormwind throne room chaos of Anixia being revealed as that big bad, as the Lady Prester in disguise, and all of the chaos that happens in the throne room. That that no longer happens in retail WoW.
Nope. Well, you can't even do those quests anymore in retail WoW, so
Exactly.
and that's one of the problems I have with retail WoW is you just can't play the complete story anymore.
But let's see here. I think for closing it out, one last question for the three of us of if there was a game that you could go back to and play brand fresh new again. Like sit down with it and play it fresh new again. What would you choose?
Oof.
So that you get all of that initial wonder again, all of that initial holy crap they did this. The
That's such a hard choice.
the unexpecteds because for me it's probably a toss up between Earthbound, which a few summers ago I remember starting with Sleepy and we got really far. We should probably finish it. We're really close to the end. And so I was vicariously living through his first time, or going old school again, Final Fantasy VI, because there are some twists and turns in there that they aren't as gut wrenching as the Aerith moment in Final Fantasy VII, but they were still of my era of holy crap, that just happened. And it would have been the first time I would have seen something like that. So both RPG memories, but still ones that it would be fun to relive. It's one reason why, for example, I'm even doing the Ninja Turtles project on the blog and in my gaming recordings of playing through the Cowabunga collection and revisiting all of that history is to try to revisit. It's not, 100% successful, but I'm getting to re-experience some of them for the first time with, say, Swordagent, or like we're going to play Shredder's Revenge, probably fire that up when I get to that.
Yep, I
Or
definitely want to join for that one, so don't leave me out of that one.
And then Mordecai, I drug into a couple of the Ninja Turtle older ones. Same with Sleepy. So yeah, that those the recapturing of the memories by experiencing it with somebody who hadn't seen it before has been fun. And hopefully you two have gotten enough time to think of something.
Um, Probably World of Warcraft Legion,
Oh, cool.
my first expansion.
To just play through the story fully and go, oh crap, and see
Oh
the
wow, the
artifact
opening
weapon
of
stuff.
the expansion is
Yeah,
crazy too.
and and I wouldn't spend all my gold on dang transmog.
What were you saying about Legion, though, Sword?
The opening to Legion is
Oh,
just
yes.
fantastic too. Like if there's
Absolutely.
one expansion that gets you hooked, it's that one.
Absolutely. Legion would definitely be it. Yep.
If there was a WoW expansion that I would pick for the first time, it would be Warlords of Draenor. I'm sorry, it gets way too much hate. It probably is my favorite. I really liked every second of it. So that's the WoW expansion I would pick. In terms of games, other games, that's really tough for me. There's so many, but the one that keeps popping into my head, and there probably is one I'd choose over this, but this is just the one that I've got in my head right now since you asked the question, is Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Oh. All right.
I played all 4 seasons of it. I've got the collection, and Foxdragon basically watched me play that and helped make some of the crucial decisions in the game too from time to time. And beginning to end, I once I picked up season 1, I basically didn't stop till I played all the way through the end of season 4. So,
Very cool. Very cool.
you know,
Yeah. And Warlords only gets a bad rap because of the raiders who are like, we didn't get enough raiding content. The story content of Warlords is phenomenal. And the garrison system, I had a blast with that.
yeah, well, I played so much that expansion that I was able to go in as Swordagent and just solo some dungeons. Like, I
Yes.
was just getting that powerful. I played that much. And that's when I leveled up Wolfcrawler, my main alt,
Yep.
up to level cap as well. So that's one of the only expansions in WoW that I've had several characters at level cap, which should tell you something too about how much I liked that one.
Yep.
Didn't they also leave warlords hanging?
Some people argue that they rushed the end story of Warlords because there are supposedly notes of going to a different continent where all the ogres actually come from, but it is a complete story.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Warlord set the groundwork for going into Legion, so
Yep.
like what's there to complain about? If they had expanded Warlords much more, we wouldn't have needed Legion. What was there left to do by the end of Warlords? Kill Gul'dan? Well, if we did that, we wouldn't have needed Legion.
Right.
So,
Yep. Because the entire reason it took so long to get from Warlords to Legion is because they were pouring their hearts and souls into Legion and writing all of these extra stories and all of this extra content that it wouldn't have hit as hard if they hadn't taken the extra time.
and we would not have Legion without Warlords. So
Exactly.
they are one. It's part one and part two of the same story.
Yep.
Well, really, Myths, Warlords, and Legion are a trilogy.
Exactly.
So,
Precisely.
and it's the best trilogy of expansions. I don't care what you say.
We'll have to wait and see what happens with War Within, Midnight, and the Final
Yeah,
Titan.
the World Soul Saga.
Yep.
Yep.
Which I think Sword doesn't get to judge until he actually plays.
He has a baby. He's not going to play it.
Yeah, I don't have the time to play it.
Like I can track with World of Warcraft after the first two each of your births and which expansion it was and how little or much I was able to play of said expansion because you guys were babies.
How much could you play of Wrath?
Wrath I was able to dive pretty heavily into, but you were newborn.
Hmm.
So it was holding a small, slightly squirmy newborn, leveling through Wrath, and
Who
then
just slept and ate?
what?
Who mostly was just sleeping and eating?
Exactly. Then we have, for instance, Cataclysm with your brother Sleepy, and I barely was able to play that because it came out after he'd already been born, and so I saw the story content, and that's about it. Like the questing content.
Makes sense.
Warlords allowed me to start catching up and leveling the crap out of people. And then near the end of Warlords is when the youngest arrived. So,
Yeah.
and at that point it was just maintaining the garrisons and that kind of thing, and that gap allowed me to then dive into Legion. So if it hadn't been for such a large time gap between the end of Warlords and the start of Legion, I wouldn't have been able to dive into Legion as hard as I did.
That's for sure.
Now, other chaos and drama in the family, Battle for Azeroth was kind of rough for me to follow,
As well as
as
Shadowlands.
well as Shadowlands.
Bleh, Shadowlands.
Yeah.
But we're accidentally starting to review some of the expansions, so we'll
Maybe we'll do that next time.
Yeah.
on another high note, big number. I like the sound of that.
We gotta do a tier list video sometime, so maybe we can do a tier list of WoW expansions.
There we go. And maybe just a tier list of some of the favorite games of all time. So we
Yeah,
can
a tier. Oh yeah, we should do a tier list video sometime, or a couple tier list videos. That'd be fun.
yep. So with that and the promise of the future and more content to come, because this was only episode 200. I mean, I started this podcast um originally episode 1 aired May 21st, 2011. And we are now at episode 200. There's obviously about a 10-year gap between um, some of the episodes, which is why we're only at 200. But we restarted. We persevered. We carried on. And I look forward to continuing this. So thank you.
Happy episode 200.
Happy episode 200, everybody. Podcast at flameflash.net if you want to email in. Otherwise, leaving comment on the YouTube or on the blogs. write in, comment, and suggest your own favorite gaming memory.
Live with honor.
Indeed. Thank you, Sword.
Thank you.